Just trying something today with a different sort of stabilizing way for the camera. I found this little sort of handheld thing that is supposed to help sort of stabilize the image, but actually I think it's just making things swing about more by the looks of it. I'm not sure, but it's a little bit more comfortable. Right, we'll give that another go. Different time of day, different setup to my usual walks. I've been stuck in the house all day today, and because I've been trying to do some boring, sort of admin type stuff. And I was like, God, I need to just get out. I'm sick of being stuck indoors. Yeah, so like I said, out for a walk. And I suppose the thing that I thought I would talk about today a little bit, because it seems to be something that comes up a lot. I'm thinking like where the benefits of getting offline more can be helpful, is especially around getting off to sleep. I think if you work on getting offline in an evening, that's especially beneficial. Is if you make the evening time especially a focus, I think that can be really helpful. And the way that I work about doing that, and I've tried lots of things, the one that seems to work well for me is so twofold things that stick. Some things come and go, other things are pretty solid. So one that is sticking really well for me this year is reading on a night time. I used to be a really keen reader, especially when I was younger. And, maybe I'm just nostalgic, but I used to love reading every evening before I went to bed. It really helped me to unwind and relax from the day's stress. And, when I just think back when I was younger, I suppose like many people found school quite a stressful environment. A lot of noise, a lot of concentration required, sometimes arguments, sometimes bullying, and that can be quite difficult to deal with when you're young. So I think unwinding with a novel, getting into sort of going somewhere else for the evening, and sort of fantasy and what have you, fantasy novels or science fiction novels. I'm more of a science fiction guy than a fantasy guy, really. Like I said, sort of think about go back to that again. So that's what I decided to do, is to go back to reading on an evening. And so I've been working on that really hard, making that a practice over this last since the start of the year. Particularly, I started a little bit before that, but I really kind of just thought, right, I'm not really one for setting times for doing things particularly, but I thought, well, if I do a calendar year, then at least I know in my own head how many books I've managed to get through in 1 year. Yeah, in order to do that, I think you have to set up the environment correctly. So as part of that, the arrangement to make sure that I read more, I had to make sure I didn't have any digital distractions when I was going to read in the evening. Well, I started off, actually, I thought to begin with, I'll try and just see if I can have my phone by the bedside and keep reading. Good to kind of just, I don't know, I kind of felt like it was maybe a sort of security thing. I've got older parents and maybe I should be within reach if anything happens through the night, etc. Sorry, I know this is probably swinging about like crazy, this image. I don't know, is that any better? It's all over this image because I ain't recording this again. So that's what I decided. So I initially tried that, but of course just having the phone there by the bedside was just too much distraction. There was a temptation just to keep looking at things at the last minute, going on it. I've got a bit of a smart home, so which is actually, now when I think about trying to get offline more, I kind of wish I'd never done that, to be honest with you. There are some perks to having a smart home, but it's a lot of maintenance, actually. It's probably better than it used to be, but it is just a bit of a chew on. And the small features that you do have tend to be like, you try to make the most of it kind of thing. So smart homes could definitely be something that's a bit of a distraction. And honestly, like, I don't know. It's up to you. I think you have to think about the use cases. If you were considering it, I'd be very tempted just to not bother. they're a lot of work. So having the phone by the bedside would mean that I would be tempted to check in on things like with the lights on and stuff like that, and then if the lights were, I'd be fiddling around with the app that I use for that, and then I'd see some notification would come through. Now I always keep all my notifications on quiet anyway. It's one of the things that I do, and I tend to just have the badge notification. Ooh, really swinging there for things that I really care about. For apps that I don't care about, I don't have them on at all. So something to think about if you feel a bit overwhelmed with apps. I know that's a very common thing. Oh, turn off all your app notifications. But it's amazing how many people don't actually do it. Everyone knows it, but there's an awful lot of people who aren't doing it. And that's not to judge. I think if it's mission critical that you have the notifications, then fine. But do you need them on after 9 p.m. at night? Do you really? Do you really need to know that somebody's posted a Facebook update status at 9:30 at night? No. And, you know, all those little pings of dopamine and notifications and what have you, they're going to cause your brain to kind of keep waking itself back up again. So, there's things going on. I need to be more alert. There's still things happening. There's things I need to be aware of. So if you could turn them off, that's great. Also, if you've got a smartphone, learn how to use your focus modes. iOS has been able to do focus modes for quite some time now. I know Android probably had that even longer because it always does have features long before iOS does. Use them. Work out what time you want to switch off at, and then set up the profiles so that you're not disturbed by people and by notifications after a certain time. Your nervous system will appreciate it. Your mind will appreciate it. You'll feel more readily able to switch off on a night time before you go to sleep. So I strongly suggest using the focus mode feature on your phone. And the other good thing is actually with the focus mode on the iPhone is it also reminds you that you've got your sleep focus coming up and you should probably start to wind down, which is quite interesting. Just a gentle little nudge, like, hey, you said you want to go to, you want to start getting ready to sleep at 10 o'clock. It's getting well close to that now. It's getting close to that now. You want to start winding down. But other thing that I found really helpful, once I realised that having the phone next to the having the phone next to the bed was just a non-starter. I tried that multiple times, and every time it just got out of hand. Swinging around. I just found that too hard to control myself. So what I had to do in the end, I just had to take it out of the bedroom completely. That was the only thing I could do. Can't keep this balanced. Weird thing this. Look at that sunset, isn't that just glorious there tonight? So if you can, and I strongly recommend it, make it a routine to get the phone out of the bedroom on night time. That's a big step in the right direction, I think. And maybe just try that for a week or two and see what happens. See if your nervous system sort of calms down, So with the phone out of the way, I just found it so much more natural and easy to pick up a book and read on a night time. And I'm getting through way more books as a result, which is great. I'm finding that my concentration, which I think had been absolutely fried by basically too much use of the internet and tech over a long period of time, I'm finding that my concentration ability is coming back. Many nights I'm getting through 2 chapters or so before I start kind of feeling, heavy-eyed and wanting to get off to sleep. So, and that's something that I've noticed for myself as well. As a bit of a reflection last night, is like, why don't I just read till I feel too tired to keep reading? Because that's what I always used to do. So I've gone back to doing that again, and it means I'm reading a lot longer. Sometimes my eyes will kind of drop like a couple of times, and usually after I've done it a couple of times, I even felt the book like nearly fall out of my hands, I just think, okay, time to stop then. And usually it's very easy to get to sleep once I've done that. Now, the other thing when it comes to getting a better night's sleep, which I mentioned I think probably in another video, that's okay because not everyone's going to have watched previous ones, but is journaling. And I no longer journal all the time, but I did start off doing that as a regular practice. So this is I think it's a psychological phenomena, and I believe called cognitive offloading. And it's what I've always thought, but it's actually got a proper name, so there you go. That's probably going to swing around all over. Stop apologising, Rich, it's just doing it. But I'm giving it a go, and trying something different. It's probably not going to be a long-term solution. Anyway, so journaling. Yeah, so journaling is a good one to do. I used to journal all the time, but now not so much. I tend to just do it now when I know that my mind's a bit unsettled. I've got more used to sort of figuring out for myself when that is. And I think that's something that comes with practice with journaling. But it's a good thing to do anyway, you know, if you can get into a habit of it. It's just like everything else in life, isn't it? We don't always have time for everything every day. So knowing when's a good time to do it can be really useful. So just taking a little bit of time to think about what's been going on in your day, maybe thoughts or emotions that are leaving you feeling a bit unsettled, or maybe you just, one of the things is if you're rushing through life, and also if you're constantly distracted by digital stimulus, is you don't actually sometimes have a good hand on what it is you're actually feeling. You just know you feel unsettled. You know that something's not right, that you're not happy, but you don't know why. And it's crazy how just taking a couple of minutes, just, you know, a couple of minutes, 10 minutes, less even sometimes, just to write down what's going on in your head and your thoughts can help create some clarity. And that process, like I said, of cognitive offloading, then that makes it easier for your mind to start switching off at night. And people with ADHD tend to have very overactive minds. You know, I'll caveat this, doing all this may not help, but maybe if you do some things in combination with others and you try not to give up on it too quickly and try to make it a habit and persist, like a sort of thing that you do, then maybe it'll be beneficial, but you've got to give it a chance to work. And you know, I understand that people with ADHD sometimes like to get an immediate reward. You know, that's understandable. That's how the brain's wired. It's wired for interest, not importance. Getting that immediate reward makes it work better for people. But if you don't feel that by doing something like journaling, then maybe you won't be inclined to stick with it. But I urge you to try. We just got up the bank there. My favourite little tricky hill. But we've done it. Got the heart and lungs working a little bit there. After being sat down for the majority of the day. And there's a lot of people getting their exercise today on this walk, which is making recording this video of rather difficult things to get done. What might you need to get going with journaling? Well, you need something to write on and a pen. It's as simple as that. And the other thing, a good little sort of thing to start with is doing just a little bit of gratitude journaling maybe. Just like 3 things that you're grateful for, no matter how small they are. That's a good start. And just remember that people are negatively focused and negatively wired. So by doing this, it kind of helps trick our brain to remain more positive, which I think we really need. Especially if you're online all the time, because you're filling your brain with negative content, and that's what makes people interested more, tends to be anyway, than your more positive or neutral content. That's why the news is always negative. Anyway, getting off topic of it. Thinking about in terms of cognitive offloading again, if we can, thinking about maybe what we need to do tomorrow. What has come up for us mentally today that we think, right, I need to tackle that tomorrow or later this week or next month or whatever it is. Getting that written down on the page, get it written down. It allows your mind to think, okay, I won't forget that now, it's sorted, it's put somewhere. You know, you may choose to just keep that journal at home maybe, or in your office at home, and then that way you don't have to worry so much about, you know, oh God, I could lose this if I go out somewhere. Granted, you could lose it within your home, that's understood, but you'll find it. So journaling, how are you feeling today? Celebrating your wins, doing a bit of gratitude. What are you grateful for? I mean, that could be your wins as well. You know, what did I get done today that I said I would do? Great stuff. Gives you some dopamine by doing that. Thinking about what needs to be done, or what you want to do, or maybe could even be like the beginning of an idea. What is that? Who's it said? Was it Steve Jobs? Or Johnny Ive said that ideas are fragile things, and what it means by that is that sometimes you might have a really good little pearl, a little beginning of an idea, but it's fragile. If you don't write it down somewhere, if you don't kind of commit it somewhere, there's a good chance you're going to forget it entirely, and then it's gone. It's vanished into thin air. So get those ideas written down. If you've made it this far and you've not been vomiting through motion sickness, well done. Hope you've enjoyed this one. See you on the next one. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you want to see more. See you later.